There are times when we know that respectful, honest feedback would help individuals and groups, yet too frequently we don't feel confident engaging in this type of conversation. The following will give you some examples from which you can springboard into your own courageous conversations. These do's and don'ts are based on the concepts outlined in Susan Scott's book, Fierce Conversations, published by Berkeley Trade. The first step is to plan and rehearse your opening statement. Ideally, the short introduction will take no more than 1.5 minutes and will include 7 key components. Once you have your opening statement ready, consider exactly how you are going to extend the invitation. Josh, could you give us an example of an email meeting invitation that should not be sent?
Jerry, I'm so frustrated. You took that conversation way off course the other day. We need to talk about how your behavior is dragging the board discussions down. Meet me at my place, Thursday, 6 p.m. We need to discuss how you're going to get this under control.
Okay, let's try that again, Josh, with a kinder approach.
Hi, Jerry. I'd like to sit down with you to discuss how we can improve our effectiveness as a board. Could we schedule time this Tuesday or Wednesday for a conversation? Coffee's on me. I look forward to hearing your insights.
That's better. A word of caution about using email invitations. Emails are subject to frequent misinterpretations with regard to tone. Therefore, we encourage people to use in-person invitations as a first choice and telephone invitations as the second choice for setting up and having a courageous conversation meeting. Teresa, give us an example of an in-person meeting invitation.
Hey, Susan, a minute of your time. I know it's late, but I've heard it's best to confront each other. I meant coach each other in private and in a timely manner. So, can you wait back a minute until everyone has left?
I wonder if Susan felt like she'd been caught with her hand in the cookie jar. Let's hear your preferred approach.
Quietly and off to the side, I could say, Susan, I'd like to find some time soon for us to have a conversation about how we work together. Can we schedule a coffee or lunch meeting sometime within the next couple of weeks?
Good. Now let's move into the opening statement components. First, identify the issue.
Like this. Joe, you've been making negative comments about Martha's chairing skills after every meeting. If you've got such a problem with Martha, then you should go tell her yourself.
Nice try.
Here's a better way. Joe, it's my observation that you have thoughts about Martha's method of chairmanship. It is important to me to protect our trust in each other as board members. I'm not here to talk about Martha, however. I want you to be aware that I feel Martha should hear about this from you.
The second component is to include an example of problem behavior. In this scenario, it might have been Joe commenting about how Martha doesn't even know how to facilitate a consent agenda item. The third component of an opening statement is to express how you feel about the behavior. Teresa, let's have a couple of examples.
Tammy, it seems like no matter what the item is on the agenda, you bring up the topic of finances and how we can't do this. It's not in the budget. It's forever no, no, no with you, and I am reaching my boiling point.
Versus.
Tammy, I'm concerned that a predominant focus on what can't be done financially is stifling conversation about possible opportunities.
Nice. You've stated your emotion, concern, and then added component number 4, clarifying why it's important. In this case, your opinion is that possibility thinking is being stifled by negativity. Okay, to recap the opening statement components so far, we want to 1. Name the issue. 2. Provide an example. 3. Describe our emotions. And 4. Clarify why it's important. This takes us to component number 5, taking responsibility for our part. Josh, what would that look like?
How about, Charles, I've been avoiding this conversation and as a result can see that it would have been better for me to approach you earlier. Or, Joyce, I take responsibility for not making sure the seriousness of our security breach was understood by everyone on our management team.
Those are both good. Thanks. Component number 6 is to indicate your desire for resolution.
I'm aware that there can be multiple perspectives on the same situation. I'm here because I want to hear your ideas on how we can resolve this. And as an example of what not to do, thankfully we have term limits on this board because I cannot wait until your term ends.
Yes, I'd avoid that last approach too. Now, the last part of the opening statement is inviting a response. This component might sound something like,
Tom, I appreciate your hearing my perspective, and I realize it's just one viewpoint. What's yours?
or,
Sarah, this has been awkward to bring up because I want to have a productive relationship with you. How do you see the situation from your vantage point?
Once you've invited a response, it's time to listen with an open mind and dig for understanding. Digging for understanding might sound like,
What do you see the longer-term implications of that being?
or,
And what risks do you see in that approach?
an important piece of the conversation, step number 9, should be taking the time to ensure that both of you are hearing the same concerns. Courageous conversations can easily become explosive with misunderstanding. Take the time. Check in with phrases like,
I want to make sure that I'm not overstating myself. What are you hearing me say?
or,
For clarity, what is the essence of our conversation? I want to make sure we share a common understanding.
or,
I want to leave here with the same conclusions.
and in conclusion. If you've agreed to mutual accountability or continued conversation, be sure to define what that will be before leaving. This is step 10. At this point, we'll leave you with 2 examples of courageous conversation.
Morgan, I've noticed that you're pretty passionate about our approach to customer communication, especially in terms of our latest product rollout. At Wednesday's team meeting, when we were discussing finances, it seemed like you turned the topic back to communication and marketing. I know we both want what is best for this company. It's just that I feel like you've been unwilling to accept the views of the majority when it comes to product rollout. I get annoyed when that happens because on the one hand, I want closure, and on the other hand, I want harmony. What's at stake is not only a successful product launch, it's also our ability to work well as a team on future products. I take responsibility for not being willing to slow down long enough to fully understand your concerns. I want to resolve this so that we can move forward with our relationship intact. Help me understand if there is something I'm missing on the customer communication issue. You know, you're right. Thanks, Morgan. Your point about making it easy for clients to convert to the new product is a valid one. I'm glad you'll be talking with Steve to ensure there is sufficient time allocated to discuss 2 options to achieve this at our next meeting. As agreed, I'll support you by giving you a signal if it seems you're not seeking to understand other viewpoints before rebutting them.
Thank you, Teresa. And with our last courageous conversation in the role of the board chair, Joshua?
Tony, thanks for agreeing to talk with me about our board meetings. I've noticed that you seem to be distracted lately, most recently evidenced by texting during our last board meeting. As chair, I'm both surprised and concerned since this seems out of character based on your past attentiveness and meeting preparation. Given the weight of issues on our plate right now, our members expect each of us to be fully engaged in making the right choices for our company's future. Even as I say this, Tony, I'm feeling a twinge of guilt because I'll admit there has been the odd time when I've not been as prepared as I'd like to have been. In your case, there could be a lot of explanations, but rather than speculate, I wanted to let you speak for yourself. How do you think this can be resolved?
Another good example of an opening statement. Thank you. We hope that you found these examples to be helpful as you consider engaging in courageous conversations. For other resources aimed at enhancing organizational and board health, go to our website, www.strive.com.
May your courageous conversations be well planned and well received.